So I finally got around to watching The Acolyte just in time for it to get canceled. So there has already been quite a bit of internet discourse on The Acolyte, and I'm just gonna say that I don't think I've ever hated anything in my life the way that some people hate The Acolyte. And yeah, I didn't watch it at first because I'm getting kind of burnt out on Star Wars. Post-pandemic, other than Andor, there really hasn't been that much stuff that's really engaged me. Thought Obi-Wan was okay. The last couple seasons of Mandalorian are good, but diminishing returns. I really did not enjoy Book of Boba Fett, and I kind of fell off on Ahsoka. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll watch The Acolyte. I'll wait for it to be out, and then I can just binge it. I don't have to watch it week to week, which is something I like to do anyway. And in that time, I just heard so much about this show that was pretty much incredibly negative. There was some positive stuff, but it was one of those things where the loudest voices are often the angriest. And you know what? Maybe it's a coincidence that the show that featured the most diverse cast out of any Star Wars thing was the one that a bunch of angry dude bros were ranting about online. Even people who write for Forbes were ranting about how bad this show is and the writing and everything. But you know what? That is not the experience that I had. I quite enjoyed this show. And yeah, I think it's a shame that this is getting canceled. Obviously, I think part of that is the huge cost of this show, because this is an incredibly expensive show. But I think that you can't ignore the toxic reaction that the internet had to this, and just people shouting about the fact that there was they're calling it bad writing or whatever, when that to me was not the case. I noticed a lot of people who were maybe a little bit less toxic were saying stuff like, "Oh, well, don't get angry at the cast, but you know what? These writers probably will be looking for new jobs." And well, that's not as bad as the on its face sexism and homophobia and misogyny that was really, and racism that was really just prevalent with some of the discourse. That stuff just kind of takes the toxicity off of those people and puts it onto the people that you don't see, the writing staff, the directors, all those people. Which to me is also kind of equally ridiculous, because this show is created by Leslie Headland, who did one of my favorite recent sci-fi shows, Russian Doll, both seasons of that. She was the showrunner for, and then it also had people behind the camera like Kogonada, who directed movies like After Yang, directed multiple episodes of this. And I just really found a lot of the themes that were in this interesting. It had a lot of complexity. It kind of questioned the whole duality of the light side and the dark side, and it questioned the authority of the Jedi in a way that I think both the prequel and sequel trilogies hinted towards, but in a much more direct way, where it takes a look at these essentially space cops who have no oversight and are dominated by just pure logic and try to cut out emotion, which is an impossible thing. And it has good people making bad decisions, and it has bad people doing good things. So it's a really complex, interesting show. And I think even its detractors have admitted that this show looks spectacular. It's got some of the best lightsaber fights of all time. So it's just really cool Star Wars, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm bummed that this is getting canceled. I would have really liked to see more of this, more than a lot of the other stuff that Star Wars has been putting out. I know that people love to yell at Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy is ruining Star Wars. She's making it woke. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I'm getting so tired of that. And I think that this is really a casualty of that internet toxicity. It's just a shame, because the themes in this, the lore that it was hinting at, the character arcs. There's a couple characters in particular that go on these really interesting journeys, and you're not really sure if they're going to be good or bad. It expands the Force in interesting ways, and some of the online comments are ridiculous. Oh no, there was fire in space. That also happened in Return of the Jedi, so shut the fuck up.